Hello everyone, today we're going to do some blind tooling. The reason you're hearing my voice today is because I somehow lost the audio for this video. Here are some of the brass tools that I've made. All of these were made with scrap pieces of brass and simple hand tools. I'll link to a video above if you want to watch me make one of those. So here I'm just testing out the gouge tool that I made in my other video. I've never used it before, this is the first time, and I'm just experimenting a little bit to see what sort of patterns I can make. Simple geometric tools can be used to make a variety of patterns. The only limitation is your own creativity. So I started with a little diamond here and put a circle in the center. It didn't quite fit with what I was trying to do, so I tried to go with something a little more organic. So here I'm experimenting, making a leaf pattern. Larger gouge can be used to make the stem. A simple circle tool gives the impression of berries. And then my little straight palette I'm going to use to put a little vein line in the center. To make a shorter line, I'm just rocking the tool a little bit so that only part of it comes in contact with the paper. Those long lines look too much like coffee beans for my taste, so I try to keep the line short. I'm pretty pleased with that design, but I want to work on it a little bit more, make it fit a little bit more the leather corners that I'm doing on this book. So I'll expand upon it a little bit here. In retrospect, my technique isn't the best. By placing one corner of the tool down and rocking it over and then back again, makes a good line when you're working with ink on paper. I found later that doing this on the leather had the hot tool on the piece for a little bit too long, and in some cases I got a little bit of scorching, so a little practice is needed in placing the tool down squarely, quickly, and then lifting it off. Quite like the way this little sprig is turning out. I could have put a little bit more thought into the placement of these circles. In some cases I crowded a few of them in. I want it to seem natural and organic, but at the same time I want the design to be balanced. So now I'm just sketching in with a pencil a general impression of how I want this leaf pattern to fit onto the triangular piece of leather on the corner of the book. And again, practice makes perfect, so I'm building the pattern up again, starting from the corner and working my way out. So in order to test the tools, I'm just using a standard ink stamp pad and pressing the tools into it to pick up the ink and make an impression. The same effect can be achieved using carbon from the soot from a candle, which is a very traditional method of doing blind tooling like this, or carbon tooling. But it's pretty slow, and I was in the interest of time, I wanted to work quickly, and so the ink pad is convenient. So I've taken my sprig pattern and doubled it so that one branch goes left, one branch goes right, and fills in the pattern of the triangular corner fairly well. I fill in here with some more of my little circular berries, but in the end I feel that the design is tucked into the corner a little bit too tightly, with too much negative space up at the outer edge. So when I do the actual design on the leather, I leave out some of the berries and I move the pattern up a little bit. So tooling on leather is done with hot tools. The hot tools give a darker, firmer impression in the leather. So here I'm just using a typical electric hot plate with a piece of steel on it to distribute the heat a little bit better, and I just place the tools on it, rest them on a brick. Obviously, since I'm new to leather tooling and I'm making my own tools, I don't have a specialized heater. But this serves fairly well. I just have to watch the heat setting and make sure that the tools don't get too hot. Dampening the leather before tooling has the effect of creating a darker line when the hot tool hits the leather. A few quick layout marks help me align the straight lines that are going to be the border. And before I touch the hot tool to the leather, I press it into a damp rag. Had I not lost the audio for this video, you would have heard a satisfying hiss when the tool hit the damp rag. I'm using a piece of scrap gray board as a guide. I want to avoid using a steel ruler on the leather in case it scratches it or marks it. Damp leather is very susceptible to being marked up. Just as I did on the paper with the ink pad, I build up the design a little bit at a time. If my first impression with the tool doesn't seem dark enough or firm enough, I go back in for a second press. And yes, it is as satisfying as it looks. Now, because I have to use the tools at a specific temperature, neither too hot nor too cold, I have to rotate between the tools as they're on the heating element. I make a few impressions with one tool, and then as it grows cool, I switch out for a different tool. In this way, I build up the design a little bit at a time. As you can see, I haven't quite mastered getting the perfect temperature for my tools, and there is a little bit of scorching around some of the edges. As I said, this is a practice book that I made quite a few years ago. The leather is actually recycled from a handbag, I think it was. It's really quite nice leather and takes an impression very well. So I did the other three corners off camera, and that's the finished design. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate all of your likes and comments. And I hope you join me again soon for my next bookbinding endeavor.